All right, thanks for joining. This is the Fulfillment Architecture Review Meeting, Session 2, and today is September 25th, 2024. And Chase has brought an agenda item. This came up, I guess, earlier today. There was a discussion about what really constitutes a breaking change. And in this particular case, it seemed like it could be an exclusion because of the change being behind an opt-in setting. So it's not the default. The default behavior doesn't change. It's also behind a feature flag. So I don't know. My gut feeling when I first read about this was that it was probably a breaking change, but there's some ambiguity on it. And then when they mentioned that it was a new setting that was being introduced as part of this, and it had to be opt-in. So that didn't seem like it was going to necessarily break anything for existing people using this API. So that's really where I felt like it probably should be, but certainly open for discussion and probably worth, I think, probably worth updating the documentation just to add some additional clarification if other people agree with it.
Yeah, I know that there. I had to go hunt for the reference, but I know there were some exceptions, or there are some ways to, you know, be exempt from what is considered a breaking change, and one of them basically being uh, well, it's like we want to try to provide some backwards compatibility, but sometimes we can't, right? And sometimes
Yeah.
there is no path for that, and in that case, there's we don't the only way forward is, or the only path to doing that stuff is forward, right? This doesn't seem quite like that, but I kind of thought that we might be in that same sort of realm. Like once you can turn the feature back off. It's a two-way decision, right?
Yep.
So in that sense, it seems like it's um, it doesn't seem like eventually, and this is maybe for a later discussion point, right? As we move towards uh different decisions in the future, our future selves might want to make this not an opt-in anymore, but this is just the setting, right? And maybe at that point we have to think about, the backwards compatibility, or doing the deprecation cycle, or some other kind of thing, um, to get rid of the old way and replace it with the new. And that, I think, makes more sense to me than and I think would constitute a breaking change versus adding a new pathway. Um, so I don't know.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Um, the downside obviously is with breaking changes, you have to wait so long before you can actually make that change with it
Right.
being a major version. Um, and it looked like it wasn't even scheduled when the next major version would be. So yeah, who knows how long you'd have to wait
Yeah.
for that change to go into effect.
Right. Yeah. So yeah, I think the consensus is what you summarized before, and that seems to make sense to me. And I don't know that we haven't taken this discussion any more broadly. Um, I don't know that we really need to, but
Yeah, I think probably
yeah,
just the MR to update the documentation is that would be justification enough. If people agree with it and the MR and as it's getting reviewed, then good to go. I mean, I don't think it necessarily has to block progress on this change if we
mhm,
all feel pretty good about it.
yeah. We had a lengthy discussion about this on Tuesday in sort of our monthly sync call with the for this project, and we spent a lot of time trying to hash the nuances of what's a breaking change, how does this work, is it only for these, is this we really, we're trying to dissect this, and we appreciate everyone's help providing their perspective on this.
Yeah, certainly, and thank you for bringing it to this discussion too. Um, Any other topics? I mean, assuming we're putting a close to that one. Any other, things we want to discuss here?
Not from my side.
Okay, cool. All right. I'm gonna stop the recording.